at a decommission meeting and he has to do
Call to order
Zoom.
the committee of the whole agenda meeting on May
This is
9th,
it, just, we can
2022.
just set it up.
See nothing under appearances for this meeting, so we'll start right out with administrator updates.
I really don't have much beyond what I wrote in the report.
Attorney updates,
Nothing, Mr. Chair, thank you.
city clerk updates. HR.
Well, I'll just point out consent agenda item number 11. So this is accepting the recommendation from the fire department to create a hiring pool for future volunteer firefighter positions and provide conditional offers for 5 individuals for the potential hire for existing and upcoming vacancies. So they have one retirement that we have received already. We have anticipating an additional one and then some possible retirements. So currently there is a grant that is providing with the initial training and clothing that is needed at that time. So we definitely want to take advantage of that. So with those anticipated vacancies coming up, Mark would like to hire those 5 people for the fire department. And then it does save a lot of time and energy training all of those people at once, you know, and doing it as a unit versus chopping that up and doing it sporadically throughout the year. Is there any questions or concerns about that?
Go ahead, Kathy.
That's not Kathy.
Ask to unmute. She's muted. She appears muted. Can you ask her to unmute? Can you-
Kathy, can you unmute, please?
No, I bet you she can't, hear. Maybe you have to go to Patty's laptop and do that maybe. Oh, looks
Are we
like they
muted?
just.
Okay,
Yeah, they made me try telling them that again.
there we go.
That was Jen.
So Kathy is unmuted now.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Did you have a question?
We can't, oh, now we can hear, none of us could hear you.
Okay.
So thank you for, hopefully the rest of the people could hear. We couldn't hear you for the first 5 minutes.
Gotcha. All right, is there any other city clerk or HR updates?
That's all.
Finance director updates.
We completed last week with our first phase of our software update process. So Carrie Seaver and Rachel Williams did a really great job of getting all of that organized and together and making sure that everything was working. Right now we're just in the process of making sure that all of that data is working how it should, and then we should keep moving along. Carrie's been working on the utility bills and the structure. That is a really big process because we show them what we want, they bring it back, and then we have to revise. And so we're hoping the end of this year, but again, it's just a really big process, but we're very excited to bring that to the community when that's done. And I don't, if anybody has any questions about any of the agenda items on here, I do want to point out that we did add 2 agenda items. One is for consider approving the application of Madeira LLC for a liquor license pending approval of the chief of police. And then the second one is a purchase of a bucket truck, which was on our capital improvement plan budget. And I don't know if Blake wants to come up and talk about it or if you guys have any questions, but It was state bid pricing at $173.88. There was 2 quotes, and those were included with the additional packet.
Any questions from the council? I do not see any. All right. Community development planner updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one item on the agenda tonight, and that is the second reading of the short-term rental ordinance. I want to just say we had a planning commission meeting last Tuesday, and we talked about all of the concerns that the council had, and we had a really great meeting, actually. Some of the changes that took place is we increased the days for the notice, so instead of 10 days, it's going to be 20 days by certified mail. Notices to anybody that is in violation of the code at all. And then we took the cap away and we changed it to be 4% of the total housing stock the previous year. And then the permits will stay non-transferable. The parking stayed the same, minimum of 2 spots. And those are kind of the only, 7th Avenue will stay exempt, properties along 7th Avenue. And I think that's all we had for that. So I'm hoping you guys will do the second reading tonight and we can be done with that. And then I also heard on Friday that the Duluth Superior Community Area Fund grant that I applied for, the last of it for the Odegaard, we were awarded that. So that project will take place this summer. Is there any questions for me?
Just one, I was just wondering where the Planning and Zoning Commission came to head with, excuse me, with the non-transferable permits.
So
What was the discussion around that?
there wasn't a discussion because legally they can't be transferred.
Oh,
So-
is that a state guideline or a?
Yeah, we talked about that, and I think Robin had got some feedback from Joel, and then Tim was at the meeting too.
Okay. I was just wondering what the discussion was around that, so thank you.
Yeah, there really wasn't a ton of it.
Well, there was, but when we kind of figured out that it was one of those deals where it's kind of, the way that Joel explained it to me was that it kind of reflects the same as a liquor license. If you purchased a restaurant, you have to reapply for a liquor license, so if you purchase the Airbnb, you have to reapply for that permit. So that's the Reader's Digest version. And I don't know if Joe wants, or Tim wants to say anything else regarding that.
Joel or Tim, did you have anything to add? Or is that kind of the?
No, she covered it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the community development planner? Oh, go ahead, Councilor Erickson.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear, could Ms. Sturbins or someone from the planning and zoning, is this coming to the council for the approval of the second reading as a unanimous recommendation from planning and zoning?
It is, and we actually had a very, very good meeting. I don't think everybody was in favor of it. And then I want to mention one more thing. We did determine that we are not going to allow short-term rentals in residential zones. Of course, this is not going to affect any current permit holders at all. So we are only going to be allowing them in the B1 and the B2.
Thank you so much for the clarification.
Thanks, Councilor Erickson.
You said only B1 and B2?
Yeah.
City engineer updates.
Thank you, Mr. President, good evening, council. You've got a few items on the agenda tonight. I'll take the first few, and then Jenny from our office is also here to talk about the wastewater project. But the first item is consent agenda number 4, which is just our monthly update on all of the projects that we've got going on with the city. That memo's in your packet. I won't go through all the projects, but just hit a couple of the highlights. The 2021-2022 street project is getting ready to start construction again for this year. Contractors indicated they want to start setting up temporary water on 5th Avenue. Maybe it's starting as early as this week, getting the piping laid out. They intend to get the piping charged up and tested next week, and then get the temporary water connections made so they can actually start construction on the week of May 23rd. And we're having our first weekly meeting with them this Wednesday, just kind of go over some of the specifics and some of the details. We did get a notice out to the neighborhood to remind them that construction is going to be starting up again and remind them some of those frequently asked questions about mail delivery and access and those types of things during construction. So just an update that that's going to start happening again, activity out there on the site. And then the 2023-2024 street project, since we last met, the county did authorize their portion of the project, so that's underway. Surveyor submitted the utility locates, and he's out there, I believe, as of this week, doing the physical topographic survey data collection for that project. So that project is up and going, both the county's portion and the city's portion. Those are the two biggest highlights that I have on the update. And Jenny will give an update on the wastewater treatment plant to get to that part of the agenda. The next item, I'll stop there and see if you have any questions on our project update.
I don't see any, Joe.
Okay, and the next item I want to touch on is item number 12, consent agenda item number 12. This is the Odegaard Trail project that the community development planner referred to. As you know, you've got grant funding that you need to expend this year. Some of that grant funding will go towards Lake County for improving a trail along the west side of 8th Street when they do their overlay project this year. But you still got funds beyond that you wanted to spend this year. The idea is to look at making a trail connection from where the trail ends now at the west end of 11th Street, 11th Avenue, where it comes out from the underpass, and getting it from there up to the parking lot of Odegaard Park. The first thing to do, if we're going to design that trail, is to get some survey done. We've got a proposal in your packet, consent agenda item number 12, to do the survey. The base area is shown on the memo that's in your packet for an amount of $6,500 for the survey. If we want to extend it all the way over to 8th Street, so that if there's a budget to extend the trail to connect it to where the county's going to be stopping their work, we can add that survey in for an additional $900. So that item is up for your consideration on consent agenda item number 12. So I will stop to see if you have any questions or need more information on that project.
I see no questions, Joe.
Okay, and then the third, last item I have before I turn it over to Jenny, is consent agenda item number 16, which is for the 2023-2024 street project. Since both the county and the city have authorized their portions of the work, and since Bolton and Mink has been retained by the city for its portion and has also been retained by the county for its portion, the situation is very similar to what we had in 2021-2022. And if you recall, we had two joint powers agreements between the city and the county for the 2021-2022 project. The first of which was an agreement to cover the design portion of the project, and then later came the agreement for the construction portion of the project. So based on that, we were able to take the agreement that was executed for the 2021-2022 street project and update that design agreement for the proposed 2023-2024 project. It's almost an identical document prepared off of the executed agreement from the previous project, just with particulars updated to reflect the work that's being done on this project. So that item is submitted for your consideration as consent agenda number 16. And just to note, we're not asking you to formally approve the JPA tonight. We just wanted the council to have a chance to review the document and give us any feedback before we share the draft with the county. So all we're looking for tonight would be authorization to share the draft agreement with the county if you're comfortable directing us to do so. Any questions on the design agreement between the city and the county for the street project?
I don't see any.
Okay, well with that, I'll turn it over to Jenny. She's got a couple of items on the wastewater plant, the next payment, and for the access road.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening, council. I'm here to tackle consent agenda item number 8 regarding the payment to the Lakehead contractors You'll see in your packet the council memo update. It was a little bit of a slow month again, with the cold weather and precipitation that we had in the month of May, but they were still able to excavate around the biosolid storage tank and get the subgrade prepped, as well as continue with some underground piping and have a bunch of materials delivered to the site. So just wanted to let you know that we reviewed the pay application and we recommend payment. Is there any questions on that?
I don't see any.
Good deal, thank you. And then the second item is new business item number 3, related to the access road across the city-owned property, in between the water and wastewater treatment plants. The contractor had previously requested to use that dirt road that's on that property to access the site from the northeast corner. And so we received approval from SHPO to access the land, or access the site through that piece. But the contractors were informed that the city would not be spending any money, and so they agreed to cover any costs related to that, and which would be building access as well as restoring it at any given moment should that property be returned to the original owners. I believe Joel and Tim discussed it, and legally it was okay. And so I'm here to answer any questions, or Joel or Tim, if you want to add anything on that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I know we had talked about using that for storage for the construction material that's located in the, just I guess north of Van Houten Park. Is that not able to be done then? We can build a road, but we can't store? Do we know?
Correct. Yeah, to store material on that property, we would have to get the full archaeological study. And so they received approval for the small swatch on the northeast corner to access the road temporarily, and nothing permanent, and be restored later should need be, but no storage on the rest of the property, just access. They would plan to gate and fence that area as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I can't see where Kathy is, if she would ever have this.
Oh, sorry. No, no.
All right, I don't see any further questions.
That's all I had then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Joe. Joe, did you have something else to add?
No, that's the end of our items.
All right.
I'll stick around for the 6 o'clock meeting in case there are any questions as we go to take action on items.
Sounds good. Are there any other agenda questions or additions? Go ahead.
I just have one question, and I'm sorry, I looked at my packet on Saturday, I haven't looked again, but do we have a clean copy of the short-term rental agreement?
Yeah,
Was it in,
it's in the packet, yeah.
it was in the packet? Okay, I didn't see it, so. I'm
It's at the very end.
I would like to see it.
Maybe it's not at the very end.
All right. Go ahead, Miranda. Sorry.
And I just wanted to point out real quick, one of the additions or changes to the agenda would be changing new business item number 2 from a resolution to a motion. I guess it's not a resolution until the 3rd reading.
And that was new business item number 2? Or are you talking about the second reading? New business item number 1?
Yes, the second reading, okay,
Okay.
Kathy and Joe have their hands raised.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Thanks. As Miranda was just mentioning that, I think this is true, but if somebody could provide clarification, if we approve the second reading, no other edits to the proposed ordinance can happen after the second reading, is that correct?
To my knowledge, that's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Thank you, Tim. Joe, did you have something to add?
No, just one more quick item. I apologize that I couldn't hear for the first few minutes of the meeting, so I'm not sure if this was covered in the administrator's update, but regarding that haul route on the property between the wastewater plant and the water plant, I know when we had talked about this property previously, the community development planner had indicated that any use of that property needed a conditional use permit. Just wanted to double check before you consider business item number 3, whether this use of an interim, just a construction road, necessitates a conditional use permit, or is that not necessary because it's just a temporary use?
Yeah, so it does need a conditional use permit, but Joe, I honestly would have to look at that if you need it just for this purpose. I would say no. That would be my guess, but I wanna just verify it to be sure.
I just wanted to make sure that we didn't take action on that and then to come back later, you know, if there was a complication. So maybe the prudent thing to do would be, if you're so inclined to approve new business item number 3, it's just contingent on clarification of whether a conditional use permit is needed for that access route.
Yeah, I'm 95% sure you don't need a conditional use permit, because it's just a temporary thing that we're using to do the wastewater treatment plant, so.
Good. Okay, good. That's what I was
But I'll
hoping.
check on it and shoot you an email.
Sounds great.
Let me ask one question.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Joe, let me ask you a question.
Oh, sure.
Is this gonna turn into a permanent road after it's built, or is it gonna be stripped down and returned to its natural state?
The contractors do have it in their proposal to restore it to the natural state, and they understand that that could happen at any time. Whether they could get approval this week, and then that could go back to the resident 2 weeks from now, right after they build it, and they know they have to put it back.
Okay, well, it matters, because then it is an interim use, so, yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other additions or questions for the agenda? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Woodruff. Glacier.
Yes.
Rimwald.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Cassidy.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Redden.
Yes, we are adjourned.